In the last section, we got our pin on the screen, but it was using static data. And again, we really want to see the pin move around to indicate the very center of the screen as the user drags around. So we're going to turn this pin into a more dynamic experience by using the concept of state in our component. As a reminder, we use state to react to user events. We always default our state whenever possible. So let's do that now. We'll write getInitialState as an additional function. And whatever we return from this object or from this function here will be the value of our initial state when the component is first rendered. So return an object, and we'll add a property pin, and pin will have both a latitude of 0 and a longitude of 0. And this is just our starting value. The first time the component renders, here's what our state is. And clearly, the pin is going to be off in the middle of nowhere. Definitely not inside the US. That means that we need to update the state almost immediately after the component renders to make sure that it updates to the very center of the screen when the map first loads. So right here, this is the center of the screen. I would expect to see the pin here when the map first loads as opposed to north or south pole or what have you. Okay, so to adjust the state on first load or any subsequent dragging of the map, we're going to add an update to our state to the callback onRegionChangeComplete. So we're going to add this.setState to update our state, and we're going to say the new pin location is going to have a longitude and a latitude. And the value for each of these, we're just going to pull directly off of the region object. So for the longitude, we'll say region.longitude and region.latitude. Next, we need to remove our static pins implementation up here. So we're going to take the pins, we're going to drop it, and instead of passing in pins right here, we'll say this.state.pin. Now here's a little bit of a catch. When we were using the static pin, we wrapped that object in an array because Annotations expects to receive an array of objects. But as we've defined our state here, this pin object, it's not wrapped in an array at all. And so I'm going to come back in here and we're going to wrap this with an array. So now Annotations will get an array that contains an object, exactly what it expects. Okay, let's save this. I'll refresh the simulator. Still in the center here, but when I drag around and release, the pin moves as well. It's exactly what we wanted. So now whenever the user drags around on the screen and we show them some weather data, they'll know the exact location that they're getting the weather data for. So let's say I want to get Richmond. Yeah, there we go. Right about Richmond. Just what we wanted. Cool. This looks exactly like what we wanted. Let's continue in the next section where we're going to start looking at querying an API to get our weather data.